In. Welcome everybody to the team call. If you like, find your face in this picture. We got a lot of good ones going on. And this was at Celebration. We're excited to be able to see everybody at New Year kickoff this year. But we just have a couple quick announcements this evening as we get into this training that I really believe is going to revolutionize not only your business, but the future people that you bring into your team and the direction of where this company is really going. But we all know the stress is coming up, and we want to get rid of the stress, put 50% back into your wallet. So what Isagenix has done this week is 50% off, our adaptogen elixir. 50% off our adaptogen elixir. Now this is good for one coupon per back office. So whether you order one and use that coupon, you get 50% off the one, or if you order all the way up to 6, you get that. It's only on the elixir. It doesn't mean you get 50% off your order if the elixir is in there. Just keeping it really simple. This is for current customers and new customers that you are enrolling as well. Make sure you use AE50 in the coupon code, apply where it says apply coupon at the end of your checkout, and you're going to get that 50% off with adaptogen elixir. All of the assets are also posted in the group. You are good to go on that. This week's vision call is with none other than Laura Stevens tomorrow morning. These have been absolutely incredible. You can find all the recordings on isagenixbusiness.com/calls. But Laura is a mother of 5. They now live in Washington and started in San Diego, moved to Nebraska, and now they really they would probably say is one of their dream homes out in Washington. Incredible family. You're going to make sure you want to tune into her. I know she did a call last week as well, helping you build through the holidays. So make sure you check in and get in on this call. Events coming up. I'm going to be in Sarasota, Florida, December 3rd, along with Daniel G, Alexis Romano, and Sarah Richter. We have quite a few people on the team that will be attending there, but if you have not got your tickets yet, get those. You will not want to miss out on this event. All other events, isagenixevents.com, click on Associate Run Events, and you are gravy. Good to go. UIA is over. My bad. Forgot about that one. New Year kickoff coming up, first weekend in January. We're going to be in Dallas, Texas. Be there in person. Be there in person where you're going to get the most value. You're going to be immersed. You're going to have an incredible time. And again, just schedule wise, come in Friday morning if you can, if you want to get in on Thursday early. But the event, there's a leadership event for executives. There's going to be a little bit earlier in the day. And then the whole event starts at about 5 p.m. on Friday and goes till about 5 to 6 p.m. on Saturday. And then afterwards, Emily, I think we have something a little special coming up. Do you want to a sneak peek?
We do. Oh my goodness. So us, along with many other top leaders in Isagenix, I know Kathy Savage is on here doing this as well, hosting Herb and Patty Cepeda, Jessica Johnson. I mean, so many top leaders. We've all decided to come together and to have a red carpet bash after New Year kickoff so we can all hang out as one big team and create synergy and energy after the 2-day event. And so all the details will be coming out very, very soon for this. In fact, probably, I'm assuming this week, you'll just get a ticket. It'll be, very affordable to come to the event where we will rock the night away. And so again, if you're used to just being a vision caster and coming to the vision cast, or Hillary Courtney's group, Hillary and Justin are also doing this with us, or Savage's group, or Slobin's group, or anybody, everyone is welcome. We truly believe in abundance, and we believe that when we're all together and our energies together and like minds are together and we're celebrating together, we are just going to kick off 2023 with a bang. So if you want to come, drop a 1 in the chat. If you want to come to the red carpet bash, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Perfect. Okay. So we told you we're going to keep the announcement short tonight. And really before, we get into this, we've been talking a little bit about, we've been throwing around the word, or you may have seen it, about the word biohacking, and really looking at what we are coming into. And for so long, Isagenix has been on the forefront of weight loss, on the forefront of fasting, healthy aging, youthful aging, and now really taking it to the next step with this. I don't even want to call it a trend because it's going to be here forever, but this really idea of as we advance in science, and as we advance and learn more about the human body, the brain, the chemistry, all of that stuff, we began to find these things that have really helped optimize our human experience, okay, while we're here, and optimizing, the time that we do have here. And so I want to preface this with a quick little video. Some of you may have seen this already. And you're going to hear a beautiful voice, Eden Slobin, and it's going to be absolutely, and you're going to hear from her husband a little bit later here, but I want to start off with this video and then introduce our incredible speaker for this evening. So let me just pull this up real quick. We're good to go. Everybody can see that?
Yes.
Okay, one day you wake up, you're an adult, and everywhere you look, people you know aren't feeling well. Perhaps even you're not feeling well. Burnt out, brain fogged, sore, stiff, slow, unfocused, lethargic, sleepless, anxious, depressed, sick, uncertain, ambivalent. Watching people pass away younger and watching people suffer in pain as they get older. And we're not here to bum you out. We just get it because unfortunately, it's something that's become normalized. You're about to discover how to make optimizing your body and mind simple. This is your gateway to leading edge innovation combined with the conscious selection and sourcing of the cleanest ingredients, allowing people just like you to find their way to increased regeneration, detoxification, longevity, and overall performance. We're going to show you how to make biohacking easy, accessible, and sustainable so that you can experience greater vitality, energy, focus, and overall mental well-being. Sometimes, in order to move forward, we have to take an honest look at where we are and where we've been. And from there, we can begin to create a new future. The data, it's pretty grim, and you're not alone in struggling to feel your best. According to Science Daily, 95% of the world's population has health problems. What the actual? And if you're in your fields learning this, good, we are too. It's why we do what we do. It makes zero sense that we're living longer than we've ever lived, yet we're sicker than we've ever been. We live in a world where rapid advancement over the last 100 years has come at a steep price. We went from thousands of years of processing naturally occurring foods, environment, water, etc., to expecting our bodies to process, poison. All of this leads to stress on the system. Speaking of stress, guess what stress causes? Yep, it causes inflammation. And when the body's inflamed, bad things happen. And why wouldn't you be stressed? It is wild out here, friend. There's overwhelming evidence that everything you see on your screen is causing unmanageable stress and leading to significant increases in disease. Okay, enough of the problems. Let's talk about solutions because there are solutions and there is reason to be more than hopeful. Right now, there's a massive uprising of people who are fighting against the current system by taking ownership of their own physiology, which brings us back to that word biohacking. Ultimately, you could put yourself in a position to handle today's elements and be the same age 10 years from now as you are today. Wait, what? That's correct. The strategies you're going to have access to can help you turn back time on what's happening inside your body. Scientists refer to this as your biological age, meaning that you might be 38 years old chronologically, but inside you could be 22 years old. It sounds like magic, but the only thing we're going to make disappear is the junk that your body's been storing. There's 3 tenets to reversing biological age. The first is autophagy, which is the body's way of cleaning out damaged cells. The second is mitochondria function, mitochondria being the powerhouse of your cells, determining your cell's survival. And finally, stress reduction, because stress plays a part in every major disease. There is one issue with accomplishing the 3 tenets, though. It can be incredibly expensive and inconvenient. From $10,000 plus IV therapy bags and stem cell transplants to $50,000 plus artificial intelligence options, accessible choices for the everyday consumer just haven't really existed. And at the end of the day, cold plunges, saunas, and red light therapy all have tremendous value. But like the saying goes, you are what you eat. What if you could have access to the exact vitamins, nutrients, minerals, and protocols that your body's craving delivered to your doorstep in a simple to use daily system? Now we know there's a lot of products on the market. For 20 years, Isagenix has been committed to bringing the cleanest, purest, highest quality products to market with our 8-step quality assurance system. This means you're getting access to daily wellness solutions that are more stringently tested than products which are certified as organic. As you read through the individual products, what you'll find is that they each go to work on different areas of your body, but they work together synergistically and provide the nutrition side of how to achieve the 3 tenets. Oh, and they also offer a slew of other benefits like focus, cognitive and memory enhancement, immune support, hair, skin and nail health, gut and brain support, fat burning, and more. The person who shared this video with you can give you a PDF so that you can read all about the products in detail. Speaking of results, documentation beats conversation. We don't believe in quack science or fad diets, so we put our products and systems to the test in third-party controlled studies. 16 studies have been peer-reviewed and published, as a matter of fact, and the outcomes have all been remarkable. We also sign contracts that allow the researchers to publish the results regardless of whether or not they're in our favor. Thus far, that hasn't been an issue. #undefeated. In one study, we saw a 33% increase in total toxins released and 25% decrease in oxidative stress. Ultimately, we have 20 years of results, and results don't lie. Being healthy is an inside game that gets projected to the outside world in the form of lean muscle mass, clear skin, bright eyes, reduced wrinkles, and of course, huge happy smiles, because feeling confident and smiling tends to go hand in hand. The reality is that life is easier when you're healthy, able to focus and feel good in your body. Life is easier when you aren't achy and in pain all the time, when you have energy and are performing at your best. And the ability to have those things in your life consistently are simply a function of the choices you make physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually. We now find ourselves at the end of what could be your new beginning. What you're going to see are 2 different options to start your path to longevity. That's it. No hard close, just an invitation to consider what it would mean if you were to take complete ownership of your mind and body. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one more thing. We know that what we have can make a positive impact in your life from years to come, but if you decide not to do our thing, no worries. But please, for the sake of your family and most importantly yourself, do something.
Wow, oh wow, who has the chills right now? Go to the chat, give some love for Zach and Eden, because I know that they did this together. Okay, so amazing. And I don't know about you. Okay, let's just have an honest conversation, because we're one big family here. How many of you have felt, I'll just say, challenged at times of how to explain isogenics in the last 12 to 24 months? Maybe even longer? Anybody ever feel, and not that you don't love our amazing products and that you don't use them and you could sing adaptogens praises every day, or the nootropic, like suddenly you're like, woo, right? And then the NAD and the little blue pill and then this and the that, but it's just become wildly, I don't know, overwhelming at times. Is anyone willing to admit that? You wake up on a Monday saying, what should I lead with? And then maybe you've been in the business for a while and you go, okay, I'm selling collagen like crazy, but my volume's dipping, because we used to sell value packs. We used to sell people on 300 BV. We're just having an honest conversation here. And, as the world changes and as we've grown, there's so much scientific research that have come out. And some of you love digging into that. You love digging into biohacking. You love digging into cellular health. And, as I've interviewed and talked to so many different people in the health world, I look at our products and we have the best of the best. They're just not packaged correctly until now. And let me just tell you something intimate. I was challenged of, how do I build? And this man that you're about to hear from, I call it a God whisper. It's like you need something and someone comes in, he says, can I talk to you? And after an over-hour Zoom call with Zach and Eden Slobin, they presented to me and showed me a new way that they're building isogenics. And I went from, after being in this business for 13 years, a little like, just keep going, to OMG, I'm going to jump across the screen right now and give both of you a big hug and a kiss, because this is it. This is it. And I know it won't be for everybody, but I am telling you right now, this is the wave of the future. So I'm going to get out of the way, and I want to introduce you to someone I deeply admire and respect. And I have admired him and respected him, and I could cry since I met him. He's been Isogenics Man of the Year so many accolades, built a huge global business, built in the backyard of the United States. But he is just such a leader, such a tremendous man, human, and he is wildly intelligent. And this has been their brainchild. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear from Mr. Zach Slobin. So hello, Zach.
Hey, my friends, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for that ridiculous introduction.
It's so accurate though. Look at the chat right now. If you guys love Zach, give him some love in the chat. Awesome. So why don't you share with us what's going on here? Because we just showed this amazing video that Casey Thomas used to enroll 17 people on, by the way, on this method. Can you share with us what the heck is going on?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, thank you for inviting me. And it's an amazing turnout tonight. And it's also great to see so many familiar faces and people that I'm going to be able to reference, which is really helpful in this conversation. So, I don't think, for those of you that have been around a couple of years, I think that all of you would agree that I've bled for this company in every way possible. And it's meant everything to me and to Eden and to so many people on this call. And we reached a point, like Emily said, where we also kind of started to look around and said, something's got to shift. There's a bit of an identity crisis happening in Isogenics right now. And it's a normal thing. And I want to communicate that really clearly. We're in the transformation business. And companies inherently are energetic organisms. And so as an energetic organism, companies are not protected from the stages of transformation. Companies inherently have to constantly reevaluate, who am I? What do I stand for? What's my place in the world? What's my message? What am I focused on creating? What's my legacy? What's the game that I want to play? So a company, the same way that we as individuals have to ask that question, and those questions, companies also have to ask those questions. And just like us, and just drop a 1 in the chat box if you can relate, when we start to ask some of those questions, more often than not, we're met with confusion before we're met with clarity. Just drop a 1 in the chat box if you would agree with that, right? So as you began to go through your own, or started to conceptualize this idea of wanting to change your life, whether it's been physically or financially, those questions come up, and typically there's confusion before there's clarity. More often than not, in any form of transformation, there's confusion before there's clarity, there's uncertainty before there is certainty, and there can be a bit of what feels like floating before there's a real sense of focus and fortitude. And that's all my alliteration for the night. I'm done with matching words. That's it for tonight. And so, we really got to a point, and Hayden and everybody that's watching, where we started to ask some new questions, some tough questions for sure. But tough questions lead to great answers, and then great answers are what produce great results. And we really started to kind of evaluate everything. And these questions, just to be clear, started percolating almost 3 or 4 years ago for me. And Kathy Savage is on this call, and her and I have been talking about some of these concepts for, I think, almost 4 years now. These are things that I've been quite loud about behind the scenes for several years now. And when collagen came out, it made a lot of sense to me, and we got excited about it because we required a change in positioning as well at that time. And so here came this really amazing bottle of collagen where we said, oh my God, look at this product and look what it's doing for people. But, and for those of you that used to plug in my Pivot on Purpose webinars, you'll recall this, I was very clear in saying, guys, gals, friends, there's going to be a very short window here. Because even though this product is wonderful, we can only do so much to protect ourselves from getting knocked off. We can only do so much to control a narrative that says, here's why our collagen is superior. Because drop a 2 in the chat box if now everyone you know and their grandmother is marketing some type of collagen. Okay? Everybody and their grandmother is marketing some kind of collagen. So for 2 years, I kept saying, we have a very short runway, we have a very short runway, we have a very short runway. But then came the next question of, okay, then what is the next runway? And so now I want to take you back into a little bit of my own personal experience. For years and years, I've struggled with mental health challenges, ADD, depression, anxiety. For those of you that have seen me speak on the big stages or even on these calls, I've been very open about the times in my life where I was suicidal. So mental health has been a big, big thing for me. And at one point, I really started to ask the question of, maybe it's my brain, literally, maybe there's something going on with my brain. And so I went and started getting some tests done on my neurotransmitters. And what I actually discovered is that my neurotransmitter levels weren't just below average. They were so bad that I probably wouldn't have even gotten a participation award. To put it in perspective, my naturopath, my functional medicine doctor, who was an expert in these things, looked at me and said, Zach, he goes, I'm not really sure how you've accomplished as much as you've accomplished at this up until this point in your life, considering your neurotransmitter function. So on the one hand, that was really empowering news for him to say that. And on the other hand, it was incredibly deflating. Incredibly deflating. And I said, so what do we do? And he said, well, we have to go to work on your cells and we have to go to work on your brain chemistry. And I said, how do we do that? And he said, there's this thing called NAD. There's this thing called NAD. And again, this is 4 or 5 years ago. And I said, great, let's do it. And he said, well, it's a little bit pricey. And I said, well, how much is it? And he said, well, it's about $10,000 for 10 sessions. And I said, well, thank you, network marketing. Thank you, Isogenics. Thank you. So blessed to be in a privileged position to be able to invest into something like that. And so I did. And within a week or two, my body came back online. My mind came back online. And while I was doing NAD, getting the IVs, for those of you that know me, know I'm a voracious reader, I'm also reading a book called Lifespan. And it's all about mitochondrial function and NAD and neuroplasticity and neurotransmitters and winding back the clock and the best ways to protect our biological age and all these things. And then it starts talking about things like intermittent fasting. And then it starts talking about things like stress management through adaptogenic herbs. And then it starts talking about things like cellular cleansing. And I looked at Eden and I said, this is Isogenics. I said, this is everything that Isogenics is. It just doesn't know that it's this. And that was the beginning of the conversation. And what I knew for sure, that I really understood inherently in detail, was that by moving in this direction, and we can call it longevity, we can call it biohacking, whatever you want to call it is fine. What I started to see was, wait a minute, we're in a period of deep transformation as a company. And in any kind of transformation, what starts to happen is we get spread out from ourselves, right? We start to disconnect from ourselves because there's new parts of us coming together to form this new identity. Well, remember what I said, Isogenics as an organism operates the same way. And so I don't know if you've noticed, but also culturally, we started to get kind of pulled apart. We really did. And that's not a bad thing. Again, this is a normal evolution of an organism. Again, on a personal level or on a communal level, it's very normal. But the problem with getting stretched apart as a community is that so much of our business and so much of what made Isogenics great was that strength, was that core belief system, was that understanding of this is who we are, this is what we stand for, this is why we play the game, this is how we win. And that started to pull like this. And so as I really started to dive deeper into this space with my own personal practices, and you guys see Emily doing this type of stuff all the time, right? Things that aren't necessarily accessible to the everyday person from a technology perspective, but things like red light therapy and ozone therapy and NAD and, injections and all the goods. It became so clear to me. And I'm going to point somebody out on this call, and I'm so happy that she's on this call because she's going to hear this loud and clear. But what this does is it bridges the gap from who we were, who we became, where we got lost, and where we can go. And it brings it all back together. And so the person I'm speaking about right now is Carolyn Rodriguez. And when I went to create this with Eden, we had people like Carolyn in our minds, because part of the reason the company started to get stretched out was because you had people that were the pioneers of this company that laid the foundation. And as the company started to change, that group of people started to look at the company and go, I don't know that I recognize this. I don't know that I recognize this. And then there was an intermediary group of people, people like myself, Emily, Hayden, Kathy Savage, and I'm sure some other people on here as well, that we were kind of in this in-between where we helped to grow the company along with those pioneers. But we had our ideas, they had their ideas. And again, here we started to get pulled apart. We started to become disenfranchised. We started to become disconnected. We started to teach different things at different events. And then COVID hits. And now the disconnect, the gap becomes even bigger. And so when I really took a look at everything, and guys, ladies, everyone, understand that this is years of sleepless nights for me. Years. And I'm not saying that so you congratulate me. I'm saying it from the perspective of helping you to understand the pure pain that feeling this disconnect was causing me and so many other people on this call, and yourself as well. And so what I saw was, I said, wait a minute. Longevity and biohacking and the 3 tenets of biological aging and cellular cleansing. Wait a minute. This is the Isagenix story, and all we have to do to bring people back together and to move into the future is just embrace the Isagenix origin story in a modern way. And that's all we've done. That's all we've done. And I think intuitively, that's why so many people such as yourselves are looking at this right away and going, oh my God, this is it. And why? Because the ethos and the energy of it is really born of the seeds that this company was built on. When we create a new identity on a personal level, we don't lose all of the parts of an old identity. That's not how it works. We just learn how to relate to those parts in a new way in our new life experience. Does that make sense? Just drop a 3 in the chat box if that makes sense. So that's one of the lies of transformation. Again, organizationally speaking, individually speaking, one of the lies of the transformation is I'm no longer that same person. Well, you absolutely are that same person. You're still made up of all of those parts. It's just, how do you relate to those parts? And part of the disconnect in the company came because we didn't understand how to relate to the old parts in a new way. So that's really what the impetus was for this, Emily and Hayden. That's really kind of how it was born. And the other thing I like the most about this, and Hayden used the word trend, is if you look at the longevity space, this isn't a trend. This is the future. And how do I know it's the future? Because all you have to ever do in anything in life is do something very, very simple. 3 words: follow the money. The vast majority of Silicon Valley investors are allotting a significant percentage of their funds to the longevity space. The vast majority of people anywhere in the wellness space are going all in on the longevity and biohacking conversation. So much so that by 2028, the longevity space is slated to be a $183 billion a year industry. To put that in perspective, everybody, network marketing is a roughly $189 billion a year industry after 100 years. You do the math. And within that longevity umbrella is this biohacking term, which is essentially do-it-yourself wellness, do-it-yourself physiology. So follow the money. Why are they putting so much money there, though? Well, 1, because it's what consumers are demanding, but 2, and this is what's exciting for me, is that people truly believe, and so do I, that in the next 10 to 15 years, functional medicine, longevity strategies, biohacking principles will replace our current medical system. That we will move in Western culture from being a symptom treating culture to a root cause, preventative, regenerative culture. You are going to see in your lifetime, and this is from people much smarter than me, follow people like Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis, what you are going to see in our lifetime in the next 10 to 15 years is AI technology that right now is way priced out for most people, where you can stand on a little plate and this technology is going to scan your body and it's going to say, oh, see that right there? That's a little precursor for cancer, but don't you worry about it, because we have other AI technology that's just going to go ahead and sweep that out, and we have a nutrition system, principles that are going to keep that at bay. And we have to evolve in this way as a society. Why? Because one of the things that the video talks about is we are living longer than we've ever lived, but we're sicker than we've ever been. And one of the things that I get real passionate about in this conversation is I look at my dad. We moved my dad into a home at 71 years young. He sits in a wheelchair and he stares out a window every day, and he's only 77 at this point, 78. And we go to visit him. And guess what everyone's doing in there? Sitting, waiting. And I'm not sharing that to be morbid or to be sad or to be depressing. I'm sharing that because you all know me. It's not coming out of my mouth unless it's honest and it's true. Because you don't have time and I don't have time for any of the crap, any of the smoke and mirrors, any of the hype. So now we look at us and we say, okay, why does this conversation matter for Isagenix? What does Zach's dad have to do with how we build and what we do in the world? Everything. My dad has everything to do with it. Your parents have everything to do with it. You have everything to do with it. And why? Because the fastest way to create a movement in marketing, Kathy Savage is going to agree with this. I know she is, because we are. The fastest way to create a movement in marketing is create an us versus them situation. Hear this again. The fastest way to create a movement in marketing is to create an us versus them situation. And we have the ability now to create an us versus them. Not us versus the other network marketing companies, not us versus the other collagen products, not versus the little tiddlywink shake. None of that matters. None of it matters. But us versus them, the bigger game. And when you can invite someone to play in a bigger game where they are a part of the bigger game, guess what they're going to want to do? They're going to want to play their part. And guess what that means? And I love that, Hayden's a former football player, Kathy, diehard sports fan, right? Guess what? People that are on a winning team, even if they're not that good, will perform above average simply because they know that they have the potential to win. They find a way to win. Here's a great football example. And again, for those that aren't football fans, I apologize. But the Miami Dolphins, I'm sorry, Kathy, used to own the Patriots. They did. They always beat you guys. Hayden, they did. Plenty of times. Always worse. Always the worst team. But why? Because the idea of taking down the evil empire that were the Patriots. So every Dolphins player found a way to have the best game of their lives, simply because of the idea that this is the game we can win. We can beat these guys. And so they played above their skill. So that's what I want to do with this. I want to create an environment where you find a way, because you're so passionate about what we have the ability to take on as a society and as a community, that you raise your game simply because you understand that for the first time in your life, perhaps you have the chance to be a part of something special and part of something that's bigger than you, something that's more important and bigger than PIBs and cycles and rank advancements and whatever color lanyard you wear at an event and yada, yada, yada. Who cares? Because guess what? All those things, the PIBs, the cycles, the ranks, this, that, and the other, guess what? It follows. It follows the certainty. It follows the passion. It follows the execution. It follows the willingness to get loud and get proud about something that you know can actually make a difference in people's lives. That's how those things follow. And when you commit to playing the infinite game, when you commit to playing a game in which you understand that inherently you're impacting somebody's life in a positive way simply by introducing them to this conversation, special things will happen in your life. So that's a really long answer to your question of how this all started. But like, you know me, I just get going. So let's change gears. What else do we want to talk about?
No, I absolutely love that. And I would say that, as you're talking, I'm getting more fired up. I can see people's eyes start to perk up, sitting up taller in the chair, and the people aren't slouching back anymore. And then all of a sudden we know what's going to happen, right? We're excited. And then the realization comes in, what do I do? How do I talk about biohacking? What the hell is that? I just listened to this whole thing and I get it. To me, it makes sense. How do I convey that to somebody else? And how do I now transition from I have been doing weight loss, or I have been doing collagen, or I have been whatever it is. Now I'm a biohacking specialist. Like we're being real, right? Like what do I do? How
Great
have
question.
you been how have you been transitioning that conversation now, Zach, and to be able to help people, because you guys are having massive explosion, the people that are using this already, like it's successful, right? Like how are you transitioning people with this?
I love that question. So I'm going to, instead of telling you what to do first, I'm going to tell you what not to do. Here's what not to do. Don't try and be a biohacking specialist if you don't know anything about biohacking. Don't do that. It's one of the worst parts of our industry, where respectfully, yesterday you were a plumber and today you're a financial freedom and cleansing expert. What? Where else does that happen? Like 2 days ago, you asked me to borrow money and now you're going to show me how to get rich? It happens all the time in our industry. It happens all the time in our industry. That's why some of your friends are saying no to you. You're like, yo, chick, like we were dancing on the bar 3 weeks ago. You know, like my friends, when I first got into this whole thing, like years and years ago, back when I was 24 years old, like some of the feedback I got when it came to like wellness and making money, like the pushback was reasonable and understandable. So here's what not to do. If this is a brand new conversation for you, then honor that and talk about it from that perspective. Humility is, but I'm going to learn, or I don't know, so I'm going to introduce you to people who can teach you, or tools that can teach you, is 10 times more powerful than being the expert in the beginning. It really is. So if this is a whole new conversation to you and you're just learning about this, you could literally get off the call tonight and simply ask a question like, hey, has anybody here on my friends list heard of the term biohacking? And if so, like, what do you know about it? Tell me what you know about biohacking. I just found out about this term. Or hey, I just read this article about longevity and how intermittent fasting has the ability to blank, 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 and blank. Like, did any of you guys know that? I didn't know that. Did you know? My mind is blown. Did you know that you could be 45 years old according to your date of birth, but inside you could be like 29? Like, did you know that? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Have you heard? Have you seen? Has anyone talked to you about? Talk about this the same way you would talk about anything brand new that you discovered. You find a new Italian restaurant down the street from your house. Guess what? Did you hear about the new Italian restaurant that's opened down the street? I just went there. It was the best lasagna I've ever had. Do you like lasagna? I love lasagna. Great. You got to go. That's how you would talk about it, right? You wouldn't be like, let me tell you about how to make the perfect lasagna. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't. You just say, hey, have you heard about the new restaurant? So keep it really simple. Now, for those of you that do have that credibility, that do have that experience, and this is kind of how Casey is operating, that's part of why she's had so much success, is, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. Oh my God, I've been passionate about this concept for years, and now I have the resources and the ability to provide people solutions in people's lives in a way that gets delivered to their doorstep in a box. And for you, those of you that are business-minded people, you know, imagine the ability to put a business-minded, entrepreneurial-minded person into easily one of the fastest growing industries in the world. Easily. So no matter where you're at in your journey, be honest about where you're at in your journey as it relates to the conversation that we're having. Don't start posting that Isagenix is the greatest biohacking company in the world. Don't say Isagenix is going to turn back the clock. Don't do any of that stuff. Come from a place of humility. Come from a place of honesty. Come from a place of integrity. Come from a place of you're still learning. Because guess what's going to be exciting? If you're willing to position it as you're still learning, guess what? The people in your network, they're going to want to learn with you. That's how it works. You know why they're going to want to learn with you? Because they don't want to be left behind. But if you come out swinging, like you know everything, dude, what happened to collagen? What happened to weight loss? What happened to blah, 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 blah? God, you change so often that I don't know that I trust you. Ooh, yikes. I don't know that I trust you because you're changing so often. But if you show me your start, I'll start with you. If you show me your start, I'll start with you. So that's how I'd start to introduce the conversation. Identify where you're at in relationship to the conversation, and then approach it honestly.
I love that. Okay. And then we also, so basically just slow down a little bit, right? I mean, because way too often people are coming out way too hot. We already talked about that, right? But how now, I before we get into, I guess, the systems of what you guys have developed, and I can pull those up, and I would love to hear a little bit more about that. But what about with people that maybe, had a great experience before, and then they just kind of got lost up in the shuffle, former customers, former team, or whatever it may be? What about reaching out back to those people, or what is the messaging around that with what you guys have been doing and within your own team as well?
Yeah, look, I like what Casey's been doing, because we were talking to Casey a little bit, and she's literally just sending the video saying, you got to check out what we're doing.
Mhm.
Hey, I know you fell off a little bit. I know that things got tough for you. I know that, whatever happened, like, you got to take a look at what we're doing. Can I send you a quick video? And what's happening is every single time we play this video for people that are familiar with Isagenix, every single one of them is saying the same thing, which is, oh my God, this is Isagenix. This is why I came. This makes sense for me. This is exciting. This is refreshing. This is relevant. This is something I can get behind. And then the other thing about that I love, and this is great, was this. One of the big reasons that we were able to hard pivot into the collagen, and was one of the biggest things that we held our hands up that we were excited about, was no coaching. Well, guess what? This conversation, these products, no coaching. So for your business partners that might have become disenchanted or disillusioned, who paused a bit, they can look at this and you can have that conversation. Look, we can systematize this thing. We're getting back to increased volume, back to upfront bigger money, which is going to increase retention. And I also want to address that whole conversation in a moment here, considering the economy that we're in, because it's an important one, right? And so a lot of people are looking at it. Yep, just the video that was just played, Lorraine. A lot of people are looking at it and they're going, oh, wow, biohacking, cool. And the other reason they're saying biohacking, cool, oh my gosh, is because anybody that follows any kind of wellness, anything, anywhere on Instagram and on Facebook are right now just being inundated with this message, inundated with this conversation. I don't know, and I don't really follow a lot of people, but of the people I do follow, like every time I see them, they're getting out of a cold plunge, they're getting out of a sauna, they're standing in front of red light therapy. That's what they're doing. So in the face of the vast majority of consumers right now is this conversation around longevity and biohacking. And why? What does that tell you? It tells you, put on your business hat, that there is a race. There is a race in this space. And when you look at our particular part of the world in terms of the network marketing arena, there are some companies that are using the word biohacking here and there. However, they can't do what we've always been able to do before we went to collagen. There were always companies with protein shakes. There were always companies with decent, juices and products and things like that. There have always been, there's good companies, there's bad companies, there's good products, there's bad products. But how did we define ourselves in Isagenix? For those of you that have been around a while, you'd remember, yes, but we have a system of products that are designed to work synergistically in the body together. I used to love that we weren't a one-off product company. I loved that we had a suite of products. I loved that this was daily essential wellness principles and strategies for long-term health benefits. I loved that from a consumer, customer acquisition, customer retention perspective. I loved that. It's why Eden got excited about the business in the first place. And so again, what I said before, this brings us back to the roots of how this company was founded, but most importantly, it allows us to grow huge, big branches into a conversation that's desperate for products that have the quality that ours does with the backing that ours does. And if you notice what we did in the video, we just called it all out. Yes, we have clinical studies. Of course, we finance them, but there's a clause in them that says you can publish them no matter what. Right? Like we called it, I think we even said, we don't believe in quick fixes and fad diets. We literally we put it all out there. And here's how I know that that video is really good, everybody, because we sent it to Kathy Savage first. She was one of the first people we sent it to. I said to Eden, I said, if Savage approves of this thing, we're golden. Savage approved. If it's Savage approved, and I'm saying that from a place of nothing but unbelievable admiration and respect for her accomplishment in the world of branding and sales and communication and storytelling. Okay, so when she said that, I was like, yo, we're winning.
So good. Oh my gosh. Let's just see in the chat, like who's over here is your wheels turning? Type a 1 in the chat if you're like, I could get behind this. Yeah. And you know, here's the deal. Like for the next 4 weeks, we're going to coach not nothing but this, but the majority of this concept along the way. But what I would do for anybody is just say, did you see what's going on with the isogenics? I'm lit. And they say, well, what's going on? Just watch this and just send them the 5-minute video. That's it. Like, don't even go into Bill Nye the Science Guy, or don't even go into any of that stuff. Finally, what Zach and Eden have done is they've packaged this the way that we have been trying to articulate it, but we just don't sound that great. And they made it all make sense. Now, Hayden's going to pull up the packages they've put together that are so genius. Okay. So Zach, maybe you can kind of elaborate on these 2 stacks, you
Sure.
know, how would you sell these, price points, things like that?
Yep. So first, let's talk about the price point. So you can see on your screen what's in the pack. So I'm not going to read through all of those things. And there's also a PDF that we created, I think that you guys have access to, that you're welcome, of course, to send out to everybody. And the PDF is really just the video version, but written out in about 12 or 13 pages. It tells a fun story, and it gives you the opportunity to kind of read into this in detail. So let's look at the pack. If you notice what the pack does is the pack addresses the conversation that's had in the video. Okay, this is a selling tool. The whole point of the video is to do the selling for the associate. And why? Well, because in the world of network marketing, the less talking we have to do as the associates, the more effective we can be in growing a business, acquiring customers, and teaching other people how to build a business and acquire customers. So we started to look at things, and the big thing has been like, well, we'd love to get our cycles back up. Well, for cycles to go back up, you require an increase in volume. Well, you can do that in 2 ways, right? You can either increase the number of orders that you're getting from a collagen perspective, single one-off products, which so far hasn't necessarily proven to be an effective strategy for a variety of reasons. That has nothing to do with the product, it just has to do with the way that the product plays. That's all it has to do with, okay? Or you go back to increasing the volume of the initial order. So it begs the question though, well, Zach, we're in an inflated economy. There's this massive recession that some people say is either looming or it's already here. And Zach, you want people to spend more money. And my answer is absolutely. And here's why. When you look demographically at Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, they are spending their money in the wellness arena. They are foregoing other expenses so they can invest into their own wellness. The other reason we wanted to jack up the price and move it up into another echelon is because we also understand that this puts us into the conversation of consumer where our products belong, in my opinion. We have premium products, everybody. When you look at our ingredients, you should never have to do a comparison to the vast majority of other products that are out there. But one of the reasons we get caught up playing the price game is because we don't really understand, like Emily says, how to position these things correctly. But when you position the product in the right conversation to the right type of consumer, this becomes a very natural purchase for people. And then the other thing it does is it puts us into the category of the premium consumer. And here's what that gives you access to. And this is a personal philosophy when it comes to business. It's just what I like. Personally, I'd rather have a small group of people spending a larger amount of money than a lot of people spending little bits here and there. And why? Because the smaller group of a consumer base is a dedicated group of a consumer base. And they're going to look at these products not as a luxury, but as a necessity. And when you're in a conversation in a down economy and people are looking at budgeting, the first couple of things to go is luxury items, luxury spending. But if you can have the right conversation to help people understand that this is a essential necessity, regardless of what's going on in the economy, and that this is what their cupboards get to be filled with so that they can perform at their best and experience themselves at their best, both now and tomorrow, you're playing a different ballgame. Now, here's the other thing that happens. In the world of network marketing, historically speaking, when you look at the cycles, in a down economy, network marketing goes up. In down economies, network marketing typically goes up. Why? Because people are looking for ways to create another income source. And for those of you that follow the news, you'll be aware of this. For those of you that don't, you won't. But Amazon's about to lay off 10,000 people. Meta, which is Facebook, is laying off thousands of people. Major companies are restructuring. We just saw a crypto coin go from 32 billion to zero overnight. We're not joking around here. This is real life. People's lives are getting affected. They're going to be looking for opportunities. And what's fascinating about this resignation that's different from other ones is that the white collar employee is leaving corporate at faster rates than ever before. And they're going to start looking at a variety of different business ventures. And here's what I can tell you about white collar professionals who are accustomed to making, say, $90,000 and above, or even $85,000 and above. When they look at a business, the cheaper it is to get started, the less likely they are to begin. Why? Perceived value. Perceived value. And the other thing that happens when we spend a little bit more money is, guess what we have as a business person? We have skin in the game. We're 10 times more likely to want to turn around and recoup our money as fast as possible, which leads to a greater sense of urgency. And drop a 4 in the chat box if you would love to have people move with a greater sense of urgency. Okay, so these are a couple of the reasons. And then the other reason is this. Recessions, historically speaking, 1 to 3 quarters, maybe a little bit longer. Some people will say we're going to have a soft landing. Other people say it's going to get really rough. The truth of the matter is nobody knows. But what you have the ability to do is to be consistent in your positioning of what we do know. And that is that on the other side of this industry is going to continue to boom. Longevity is going to continue to grow. Network marketing, it's going to recover. It's going to come out on the other side of this. It just is. It's just reality. The same way that people need houses to live in, people need ways of making money. It's a very simple conversation. This isn't, I'm not a business genius. I'm not, okay? I'm actually probably one of the dumbest smart people you know. I really am. And that's not being self-deprecating. You'd be amazed at some of the things I do on a day-to-day basis. You'd be amazed, right? Hayden's seen some of them in the person, right? Like, so that's where we're at with it in terms of pricing. So in the pack, what you'll see is, and I already see in the chat box, can we switch this out? Can we switch that out? It's your business. Do whatever you want, but understand that the conversation and the sales process and the formula, and it's a very intentional formula, and the writing and the narrative and the tonality and the words that we choose and the way that we create a problem, then irritate the problem and then solve the problem and then provide more credibility and then irritate another problem. All of that sequentially is very intentional and very on purpose, because it all leads to the very specific products you see on your screen, because these products are the answer to the problem. That's really important to recognize. So if you want to change these, by all means, your business, but understand there will be a disconnect between what they were presented and now what you're selling. Now, for those of you that are saying things, well, what about vegetarians who won't want the bone broth? Have them give it to one of their kids that's not a vegetarian. I don't know. Have them take it to the office. I don't know. Or invite them without challenging their personal food philosophies, invite them to take a look at how they might benefit from incorporating something like bone broth from a gut health perspective. Just invite them just to consider that. Because make no mistake, the other thing that's is moving alongside of, just to be really clear, and this, I'm not saying this to be polarizing, please don't take it this way. The vegan, plant-based, vegetarian movement right now is currently going head to head with a much more traditional animal-based diet. Why? Because when you look at the data and you look at the science, and again, I'm not a proponent of one or the other, do what feels good for you, but there's a massive movement and a ton of data coming out right now that's unwinding a lot of the lies that people were told about eating meat, about veganism, about things like raw dairy, about things like bone broth, right? So a lot of things are coming to the surface now. And why is that important to our conversation? Because guess what's stirring? What's stirring right now is a group of people who are excited to finally take ownership of their own well-being. Generationally speaking, and again, this is not to be disrespectful, but if you look at the baby boomer generation, I've had this conversation with my mom, for the most part, and again, this is not a universal statement, okay, quick disclaimer, but for the most part, the baby boomer generation trusted who they saw on TV and trusted what their doctors told them. And why wouldn't they? They didn't have the internet. They didn't have all of the resources that we do. They didn't have exposure to all of the different modalities and therapies and ways. They didn't have access to that. So of course they're going to trust the guy in the white coat or the woman in the white coat or the person in the white coat, because who else are they supposed to trust? They don't have this knowledge. It wasn't taught in school. So of course, but as generations move along, one generation tends to look at the other generation and evaluate it and go, as Jim Rohn would say, I don't know if I would take that class. I wouldn't take that class, right? So my generation, the millennial generation and the Gen Xers, are really starting to look at everybody and go, I wouldn't take that class. That doesn't make a lot of sense for me. It's time for me to ask new questions. And so this sense of ownership that people are taking over their own physiology, the awareness that's being created is massive. Now, one important thing that I want you to pay attention to, I know we're coming up to the end here, so I apologize if I've gone too long. I want you all to watch and rewatch the video. And if you get the PDF, I want you to read and reread the PDF. And here's what I want you to take from it. I'm gonna give you a little marketing lesson. What you'll notice in the video and what you'll notice in the PDF is that at very minimal points did we say isogenics. We didn't really talk about isogenics. And why didn't we talk about isogenics? Well, one of the mistakes that a lot of marketing companies make, that a lot of marketers make, is that they position the company or the brand as the hero. We are the savior. We are going to save you. We are going to change your body. We are going to help you live longer. We're going to turn back the clock, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And it never works. And it especially doesn't work in today's age of marketing. So pay attention to the video and pay attention to the PDF, because what you'll notice that I did when I wrote the copy is you're the hero in the story. Isogenics is just the guide. And so for those of you that are a little bit nerdy like I am, what I want you to think of it is like this. The customer or the prospect or the consumer is like Luke Skywalker. Isogenics is Yoda. Okay? Isogenics is Yoda. Yoda was just there to guide and to teach Luke what was possible when using the Force. Your job, Isogenics' job, is to guide and teach people what's possible when using the Force. And that's what this is about. This is teaching people to take true ownership, to become real advocates, exactly, to become the Jedi in their own lives. And here's a fun little one for you. Years and years ago, I ran a social media marketing company, and it was called DFY Consulting, for Done For You Consulting. And my name, because we had a little Star Wars theme, my name was Slobin Kenobi, okay? So that's how nerdy I am, right? Slobin Kenobi. So really pay attention to the video, and I want you to take from that and start to market in that way. Make them the hero, you're the guide. Make them the hero, you're the guide. Okay, sorry.
Incredible. Oh my gosh, I'm buzzing right now. And here's the deal. These are two systems, like I'm reading the chat. As Zach said, they're systems. Systems work, systems duplicate. Okay, so we're going to spend the next 4 weeks, and we want to invite everyone to come on this journey with us, this biohacking basics journey, right? Where we're going to learn and hear from people that are implementing sending the 5-minute video. What pack did you send them on? How did that look like? We are going to hammer in the tools. Now, if you want to build the other way, absolutely build the other way. We're not here to say, you know, you can only do it this way. No. But I know that so many of you are going to rock this out, and we're going to hear eventually from Casey Tom, who's been using this method. And, you know, before we decided to bring Zach on, like I'm a little investigator. Let me just tell you right now. So I'm watching everything. I'm investigating. I'm calling people. I'm calling Jessica Rigner. I'm like, hey, did you hear what Zach and Anna? Yeah. But overall, the testimonials and Casey saying, yeah, I've enrolled 17 people and the top nutritionist in the world's getting on the phone with me to hear about it. And they can't believe this is Isogenics. It was my intuition. It was my intuition that said, go for this. And we all have an intuition. We all have that inner guidance system that knows what's right and what's wrong. And you got to do what's right and what's wrong for you, right? So Zach, thank you for this. Thank you for these tools. Thank you for the time, the energy, the effort, the go for itness. And, you know, our friend, who's all of our friend, Lynn Klaus, the #1 income earner in Isogenics, she's always said this, and she said this over and over again to Kathy Savage and myself. She always has said, the best tools that create momentum in the business and network marketing always come from the field, always come from the field, because we would go to corporate and say, we need you to make us a video, right? And I truly believe that this video is it. It is it. Okay. So I don't know if you want any closing remarks, Zach or Hayden, or, I mean, look at the chat right now. We're buzzing.
I'll say this is an important thing to consider. There's a lot of excitement around this. Like Emily said, top leaders in this company are getting in behind this. Also understand, though, that from a corporate level, you're not going to necessarily see this reflected right away. You're seeing little bits. You are seeing little bits, right? Like I was so proud when the nootropic got launched, and there was like a little article that said, biohack your brain. And I was like, yes, they're listening. Yes. And what we have to remember is that this is a 20-year-old cruise ship. And if corporate tried to hard pivot a cruise ship, guess what would happen to the ship? It would capsize, it would break. So when it comes to this happening at a corporate level, what we know that's going to look like, we have no idea, but be patient, because integrating something like this is going to take time to scale. But like Emily said, momentum doesn't come from corporate, momentum comes from the field. So we get to get loud about this. We get to be proud about this. We get to be consistent about this. And more than anything, what I would invite you to do is to be really curious about this. And here's the other thing I love about this. One last thing, and I'll turn it back over, is, you know, this company, you'd walk into events and you'd look around, you'd go, these are the healthiest people I've ever seen in my life. You would. There was no denying it. You walk into an Isogenics event and you look around and go, oh my God. And I really believe that getting back to this conversation is going to empower our community to take ownership of your own individual wellness in a whole new way. And that's not to take away from doing a 9-day or an 11-day or any of those things, but I would really invite you. I'd really invite you to start to look at this from your own consumption perspective, from your own daily habits perspective, from your own wellness implementation perspective. Because here's what I'll tell you. When you drink bone broth twice a day, which is easy to do and it's delicious and it's warm, especially right now, it's good for your gut. And if it's good for your gut, it's good for your brain. And if it's good for your brain, it's going to help you focus. And if you can focus, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be more productive. And when you're more productive, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be more successful in anything that you do. So really take ownership of this for yourself. Start using the products the way that they were designed. Start using them with intention. Start speaking about them with intention. And look, you know, network marketing is a fickle beast. Business is a fickle beast. It can change at any given time. But ultimately, what I really believe to be true is that if we could get even 20% of the field having this conversation, I really believe that this company a year from now can be in a uniquely new place, and 3 years from now can be in a remarkable place. But it's going to require patience and consistency. And I'm going to use this word again, humility. And like Emily said, like, you know, if you're building through college and that's what excites you, by all means, you know, get after it. And I'd rewatch this video if I were you one more time. I'd really sit with some of what was shared here tonight and with some of the other conversations that are going around the community, because you're not going to be able to leave your house in the next year without hearing somebody use the term longevity or biohacking. And here's what I can tell you, and this goes for stocks, it goes for crypto, it goes for any investment. By the time the taxi driver or the Uber driver is talking about it, you're probably too late. So right now, the only people that are talking about it are the most successful venture capitalists, business people, forward-thinking medical practitioners in the world at the highest realm. The taxi drivers have no idea what this is. The Uber drivers have no idea what this is. That means for you a massive runway should you choose to go down it. So thank you all for having me. Feel free to ask any questions. Of course, you have amazing leadership. There's nothing I can do for you that these guys can't obviously do for you, because you have some of the best here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. Zach, thank you so much. I know everybody is like excited, mind blown, but really like eager to dig into, you know, what this really looks like. And I think as we've watched this transition of isogenics now over the last 20 years, weight loss has almost become a negative word, a negative connotation. It carries a lot of shame. People, you know, are beat up when they have to do a weight loss thing. They know they have to do it, but because it's weight loss, they beat themselves up. And now we bring in words like biohacking, longevity, optimization, and it's exciting. And what happens when we're excited? We do better. We tend to follow the things that are being said. It's easier to do a shake a day. It's easier to take a collagen. It's easier to do a cleanse day once or twice a month, you know, whatever that is. And so I love that, you know, bringing in this terminology and bringing in the science with it, with everything that we've already had, and showing it in what I would say just light. It's lighter. So thank you so much. Thank Eden for allowing you. Probably gave her a break actually. So give her a big hug for us. Emily, Kathy, Casey, thank all of you. This has been absolutely incredible. Yes, all of the assets will be posted. You will have everything that we have talked about. And guess what? You really don't need to know more than that. Put the products in your body, watch the video, share the video, share your experience. And like, I will reiterate what Zach said, like be your own best customer, like really put it to the test. Em, I don't know if you want to say anything else to close out here, but
yeah, so Zach and Eden did a beautiful, it's I think it's about 60 minutes, but it's like the blue ocean video. And I recommend, we'll give you all the assets, but you know, just play that when you're cooking dinner, play that when you're on your walk. Like, just let this information seep into your brain. Some of you, this is popping off like wildfire. Others of you, this is taking a hot minute, right? So let's play all of it, but just know that it takes a while to bake anything into the culture. It takes a while to bake this in. So for the next 4 weeks, and we'll invite all of you, it's the same place, same time, same website that we have every single week, but we are going to be training on implementing this system, okay? We're going to be getting feedback. Who enrolled the Biohack pack? Who enrolled this? How did you do that? You know, what was the conversation like? Eventually having, you know, if they don't have one yet, a PowerPoint that's on all of this. We're going to be rolling all this out and really baking this in. Remember, it's great if we get excited one Monday night, but what builds a long-term business is repetition, getting people in the habit of talking about this. And the less you say, the better. So again, all I'm saying, and I did this this call, I said, you got to know what's going on at Isogenics. I don't have time to chat right now. Here's the 5-minute video. boom, 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 boom. And there's people on this call that haven't really been involved with isogenics in 3 years. I'll be honest. And we're going to continue to wake people up, but also attract an entirely different set of people that would have never done network marketing because of this. I believe that. So who's going to capitalize on it? Who's going to get the real estate, baby? Ah! All right. That's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you, Zach and Eden, for making Isogenics so sexy. And let's go, let's get it, and let's be chatting and here to support each other. All right. Love you all. Bye.
Yeah.